Okay, here we are. I got some new technology. So I got a little document camera, so now you can just see my table, and I'm going to write with an actual pen rather than trying to write electronically, and I'll just be more accurate that way. So in this video, we're just going to go over the group exercises at the end of 4.2. In the last video, I suggested you go try those, and you can see the filled out versions of the notes online already. If you weren't getting things, well, here we are going through them step by step instead, okay? So we're gonna have an axis here, like usual. Come on, focus. And still figuring this guy out a little bit. Okay. Ooh, there we go. Okay, better. Alright, so, nope, now it's out of focus. Alright, we'll see how this goes. Alright, first off, amplitude, well, -3. We do the absolute value of that to get the positive number, so that's 3. And that allows us to just do 3, -3 on the axes. Alright. Maybe we just need more distance. I don't know. Alright, on the vertical axis. So that's done. So now it's a matter of finding our 5 key points. Alright, so I'm going to mark those guys off. Like usual, we're starting at 0. Period. Alright, 2 pi divided by 5. That's going to change the period. So, and that doesn't simplify, so that's as good as it gets. Now, starting at 0 means this is 2 pi over 5. There we go. So, who's right here in the middle? Well, he's halfway between 0 and 2 pi over 5. So, in other words, 1/2 of 0 plus 2 pi over 5. Doesn't give you a whole lot to do, other than cancel the 2's, and you get pi over 5. Now, again, a lot of times we have, when there's a pi involved, there's going to be a pi on all 4 of these guys. And it's really just a matter of the fraction that goes with the pi. So this is really 2/5 pi right here. And this one is basically just half of 2/5, and half of 2/5 is 1/5 pi, and that's what we get. Now the next one here is even going to be half of that, because we're just between 0 and pi over 5. And so you might even be able to figure that out on there just by thinking about it. But it's halfway between 0 and pi over 5. So in other words, just 1/2 times pi over 5 gives us pi with 10 on the bottom instead. So pi over 10. Alright. Then this guy is halfway between these two. And this is the one, since it's not there's no 0 involved, it's a little trickier, but not too bad. So we'll take these two. We'll add them up, and we're going to take half of that sum. Now we've got the common denominator already of 5. So 1 pi plus 2 pi is 3 pi total. 5's our common denominator. And, well, multiply the fractions, and you got 3 pi over 10. So that's what goes here. Alright, so we have our 5 key x values marked off. It's just a matter of plotting those 5 key points. Now this is a cosine, but it is a negative cosine. Cosine, remember, has this basic shape. Starts at the top, but when you put the negative in front, it flips the thing upside down, so it's going to start at the bottom instead. From the bottom you go up, so you'll hit the middle at the next key point. Keep going up to the top, and then turn around and come back down. And so here's our graph, just like so. Alright, that's number 1 on the group exercises. Number 2, just scroll down to find him a sec. Y equals cosine of 1/4 x. Which, maybe you see a fraction and you're not too thrilled about a fraction to start. Alright. But that actually makes some things nicer for us. Sorry, that's my phone going chew. There we go. Alright, first off, amplitude. Well, nothing written in front, so amplitude is 1. period is 2 pi divided by that number, so divided by a quarter. But dividing by a quarter is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal, which is just 4. So actually our period is 8 pi, which is a lot nicer to deal with than something like 2 pi over 5 from the last one. Alright, so first off, on the y-axis our amplitude was 1, so 1 and minus 1. 2, 3, there we go. Starting at 0, finishing at 8 pi, so what's in between 0 and 8 pi? Well, 4 pi. Halfway between 0 and 4 pi would be 2 pi. Halfway between 4 and 8 is 6 pi. And now it's a cosine, and in particular it's a positive cosine. So unlike the last one, it's going to start at the top, go down to the middle, get to the bottom, turn around, and come back up through the middle and the top. And there's your little cosine shape. Alright. Number 3 in the group exercises. Y equals minus 5 sine of pi x. Okay, so amplitude. Alright, we got a negative 5 in front, but amplitude is always a positive number, so positive 5. Period, 2 pi over whatever that number is, and it's pi, which is also actually really nice, because the pi's cancel and our period is just 2. That's it. Alright, so, we're going to start at 0, we're going to end at 2 this time, so length of one cycle, boom, boom, boom. So, halfway between 0 and 2 is 1, halfway between 0 and 1 is a half, halfway between 1 and 2 is, well, 1 1/2, 3 halves in particular. Our amplitude was 5, so there's our vertical axis markings, and now we have a sine function, but it's negative. Now, sine function has this shape, starts in the middle, and goes up, except the negative's going to flip it upside down, which means we still start in the middle, but we go down. So at the next key point, we hit the bottom, turn around and go up to the middle and hit the top, and then back down and hit the middle. And sine wave. There it is. Alright, last one. So the last two had, let's do it like this. Number 4, the last two had x values that weren't that bad to figure out, really. Alright, and this one's back to the not so great ones. 26 sine of 6x, like so. Alright, amplitude, number in front, 26. Period, 2 pi over that number, which we can simplify a little bit to pi over 3. Alright. So, vertical axis, 26 and negative 26. Still starting at 0. That will change in the future. We will not always start these at 0. And we end at pi over 3. And in between then... Alright, well, maybe you could figure out some of these just by thinking about it. A third of a pi, remember? They're all going to have pi now. And we just need to figure out what those fractions are. But this is a half of this amount because we got 0 on the left. Half of a third is a sixth. So you could just say, oh, pi over 6. Now that would also come from, well, we're halfway in between 0 and pi over 3. So yeah, you're just multiplying pi over 3 by a half, and that's where pi over 6 comes from. And for that matter, this guy, halfway between 0 and pi over 6, is just going to be 1/2 of pi over 6, so pi over 12 And this is the trickier one. So, halfway in between these two guys. Alright, so we add them up. Pi over 6 plus pi over 3. Now, annoyingly, not a common denominator. So we got to change that. So 1/2. Pi over 6 is fine. We got to turn the 3 into a 6. So we multiply by 2, but you got to do it top and bottom. So 2 pi over 6, like so. That's a 6. Alright, so then they add up. 1 pi plus 2 pi is 3 pi's total. 6 on the bottom. And then we can cancel a little bit. Turn that into a 2. So in the end, pi on top, 2 times 2 is 4 on the bottom. So pi over 4. And there you go. Alright, so that's a little uglier than some of the other ones, but that's our x-coordinates for our key values. And now we just have a positive sine function. So start in the middle, go up. Here it is, here it is, here it is, here it is. So up to the top, then you'd come down and have to pass through the middle to the bottom, turn around and you'd get back to the middle, and there's one full cycle like so. Alright, that is the group exercises for 4.2, and that's going to be it for this video then.